So, welcome back to this conclusion of the latest Dwellings of Eldervale game. We're currently in a phase of the game where I've just entered a particular realm with the dragon that has brought in the volcanic terror. But I get to do an action first, which I've taken 3 cards, magic cards, and keeping 2. They are both quite good cards. It says to one is a quest. To complete the quest, you must win a battle against a model with a single worker, and if you do that, you gain 4 victory points. But that's quite difficult to do with one single worker. Although you can obviously add swords to that to bolster their dice tally from 1. And the other is the Great Wall. At the end of the game, this card is worth 2 victory points for each of your dwellings that are adjacent to at least one of your other dwellings. So at the minute, I've got quite a lot of points because they're all adjacent to each other, and 3 of them are adjacent to 2 others. So that's going to get me quite a lot of points, that particular card. So let's sort of crack on. We've got this particular battle, which is the dragon against the volcanic terror. All magic cards may be used as if they were fireball spells, but obviously fireball spells don't affect that particular creature. So I don't have any particular spells, I don't believe, that will help me on this, although I do have a card, the miracle card, where if I roll a 1 I can flip that to a 6 if need be. But let's see what we get. I'm going to roll 3 dice. Let's use we won't use a sword, let's just go with the straight 3 dice. I score a 6, and the highest dice on the terror is only a 5, so I actually beat the terror in this instance. So that is dead for the time being anyway, and I score another 2 victory points for going up on the glory track again. So we've got that action out of the way. That's killed off one of the 3 monsters that's currently on the table. So we're back to the ghosts. Let's see what they're going to do. It's a 5, so it's the middle worker, middle card. It can't do the action moving up into one of the areas, but what it is going to do is build a dwelling, because that happens first. And because that happens, oh no, sorry, it can't do a dwelling because it's in a ruin. So it's going to be a battle. So they get 1 dice, I get 3. They have nobody in the underworld to add extra dice, and they score a 6 and I don't, so it kills the dragon off and they move up on the track. So they're now equal with me on the track. So it's back to myself. That card goes away and we have a new card for them to potentially have. So I've got the warrior and wizard left. I've got nobody on the board, which helps me because that means I can place wherever I want to place at the moment. I'm going to come down here and I'm going to bring in this particular monster, which is the living storm. So that's going to do that, but I get the treasure token first, so I get a magic card. Swirling Vision. It says play on your turn, discard any number of magic cards from your hand and draw magic cards equal to the amount discarded plus 1. Okay, so at the end of my turn I'm going to need to drop down the amount of cards I've got, because I've got too many cards currently. Let's see. I'm going to get rid of this card because I've got must have 7 cards in my hand, so I get an extra 3 victory points, and then that will take me down to the hand limit by the end of the turn. So we've got this particular combat. Now I am going to add the extra sword dice in this turn, so they get the monster gets 5, I get 3, and he wins because he scored 3 5s. I only scored a single 5, so my warrior dies, but I do get a sword for that, so that gives me 2 swords to play with on a future turn. So we go back to the ghosts, and again they can't move down anywhere, but they are going to construct a dwelling, and that happens before any battle, which means there is no battle, but they have got a dwelling extra on the board now, and they move up on the track that is associated with that particular dwelling and faction, or element I should say. So that card goes away, they get a new card. Back to me, I've only got the wizard left, and again the wizard is the only thing that I've got, so it can go anywhere on the board really. There's no point in putting it anywhere to fight that thing, or to fight any of the other monsters, or the other monster, which is the griffin. So let's see what we want to do. We'll go in here and we'll take a potion, as that gives me additional sort of possibilities if I'm using the wizard to pay for anything. And I'm going to regroup next turn, or my next go, but we have the ghosts again. They're going to go to the mill, it says. And it says choose any elemental realm that is occupied by a ghostly worker that does not already contain a dwelling. Construct a ghostly dwelling using that worker. But they have nobody at the minute that they can do that, because they don't have anybody on the board in a non-ruined area. So I'm going to regroup. I'm going to come back onto this card and take another potion, because as I say they are wild for the wizard, so that helps me. So we go excuse me, back to the ghosts. It's a 6, it's their wizard. He can't move to the left, so he goes into this realm, which means he will fight. So there's 5 for the living storm, and they get 1 dice, and it loses. So my other units come back as part of my previous regroup. Let's see what the ghosts do. They've got a 6, so they're also going to regroup, and they're going to get 4 victory points for these 2 guys because they came back out of ruins. So they got to 26. I'm quite a bit ahead, but they do score quite a few points at the end phase, so we'll see what happens here. I've only got 1 dwelling left to build, so if I can do that it will sort of signal the end of the game, so I might try and do that if I can this turn, although it does mean going to areas where possibly monsters might come in. But I'm going to risk this by going up here and immediately cashing this in for 2 more swords, because if I do fight that battle with a single worker, I will score those extra 4 victory points. So it's something to sort of fall back on if required. So we're back with the ghosts, a 5. So the Watcher will move up here. They're going to go to the dungeon and they get a new adventure card, which is a 5, which is the red. So I get another card there. So back to myself. I'm going to go to the mill, which means I can use any resource because it's being done by the wizard, and I'm going to pay that with a potion, and I'm going to construct my last dwelling. So that is going to trigger the start of the end phase of the game. Excuse me. So we'll just have a quick. So once the end of the game has been triggered by either player constructing their 6th dwelling or by drawing the last realm tile, each player takes one more turn, including the player who triggered the end of the game. If you haven't already, you should make use of your orbs, perform any necessary free actions on your final turn. So I get so that's that. The ghost gets one more go, I get another go, and then that's it. So it's going to do a 4. That dungeon card was where they went previously. So it's going to go into the portal, and it says choose one destroyed monster and return it to its lair. So there is only one monster that has a lair out on the board, which is the Volcanic Terror. So that's going to come back out. It's, I don't think, going to do too much, to be honest, although I could fight one of them and try and get some extra victory points by... Let's play the dragon in here. We'll get another resource. Actually, we get one of each, so they're not really going to do too much, to be honest. But that's going to bring this monster in here. It's going to get 5 dice. The dragon will get 3, but I'm going to expend 3 of the 4 swords that I've got and roll all 6 of my dice, because this is the last action of the game, and if I win I score an extra couple of victory points, and that might help me. I've scored 6, 5, 3, 2, 1, 1, and the Living Storm has scored 6, 5, 3. My next dice is the 2, his next dice is the 3, so he wins. That sends my dragon to the underworld, and that's the end of the game. So we do final turn scoring. So let's add any things that I've got. I get an extra 3 for this card, which says at the end of the game this card is worth 3 victory points if your marker is in last place or tied on the lowest numbered space of the glory track. Well, we're both on the same, so I still think that that would count, because that is the lowest space of any people. So that's that one. This one is at the end of the game the card is worth 2 victory points for each of your dwellings that are adjacent to at least one other dwelling. So this one is next to that, so that's 2. This one is next to these 2, 3, so that's 6. So that's 8. This one is next to these two, so that's another 4, that's 12, and this one is next to another 2, so that's 16. So that was an absolutely massive card to get. It's given me quite a few points. I didn't get the one with the win the battle with against a monster with a single worker. This one says at the end of the game this card is worth 3 victory points if your marker is on the final space of the glory track or on a higher numbered space than other players. So I am on the last space of the glory track, so I get another 3 points. That one I didn't use, that one I didn't use, and this is the last card I have. At the end of the game this card is worth 2 victory points for each different type of elemental realm in which you have a dwelling. So I have one in there, one in there, one in that one in that one, and yeah, so I've got one in each of the different realms, so that is another 8 points. So that puts me on 83. Not sure if there's any other scoring cards. Oh, that we've got to do points on the elemental track. Gain VPs equal to the number beside each of your elemental power markers. So a marker that is not on any track is worth 0 VPs. So I'm going to score 5, 8, 12 points for that. So that puts me on 95. And then dwellings, you score each of your dwellings. A dwelling's VP is also determined by the position on the elemental power track, matching the realm in which the dwelling is located. So for each, I've got all 6 dwellings, so I'm going to score points potentially for most of these. So this one here is, where are we? It is on this, so that's an extra 4, so that's 99. That's another 4, so it's 103. That one's a 5, so that's 108. That one is 3, so 111. And I've not moved up onto that track, so that isn't a scoring one. And then this one again is worth 4, so that's 115 points total. And I didn't score anything for any sort of tableau or adventure cards. So that's the end of my scoring. Let's just try and work out what the scoring is for the ghosts. So they score points on the elemental track, so they've scored an extra 7. That's 33. Dwellings, so they get points for that one is an extra 2. Points for that one is an extra 2, and where are we for there? Got, that's it. And then they also score magic cards, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Puts them on 44 points. And then, unlike a living player, the ghosts score all of their adventure cards regardless of the number of dwellings that they have. So So they score all of these, and they score points for these based on where they are on the elemental track, whereas a normal player would only score up to 3 adventure cards of any type. They will score all of these cards, so I'm going to put them into different so they've got 5 cards of this particular, and they've got 3, so that's an extra 15, so that brings them up to 59. On this track they where are they on this particular track? So they haven't scored anything for that particular track because they didn't move up on that one. And then they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's another 18 points. So that's 77. So currently that is, for me, the biggest win that I've scored against the Ghost. It sort of worked out quite well that they didn't get a lot of dwellings out on the board for me. I won 115 to 77. So I wasn't expecting it to be that high, but I think those magic cards where I scored the extra points for the dwellings, that got me a lot of points, where the 2 points where they're all adjacent. So because I had the 4 all on sort of realm tiles that were very close, that really did bolster my my point scoring. And in actual fact, when I scored this dwelling down here, I forgot to add in the fact that these 2 would have scored me another 4 points, but it's sort of irrelevant now. But yeah, that was quite a good win for the Atlanteans. And so that's the 3rd different faction that I've played in this. I'm going to try and get through all 16 at some point. But I really want to try and get this to the table with a group, so just sort of praying that the sort of lockdown and things ends. There is an app now apparently that you can play on as well, so if you've got the game, or whether you're thinking about getting the game and you want to try it out, then there is as I say, an app now running that you can play. It's supposedly very close to this. Personally, I don't play too many sort of app-based games. I much prefer the physical game, and certainly doing something like this, sort of a playthrough or similar, the physical thing for me is a lot sort of better for me to get into than sitting on screen and stuff like that. I like to see the stuff on the table, and the obviously with the sort of neoprene game mat, that sort of enhances the quality of the game. But there we have it, another playthrough of what I consider to be the best game of 2020, Dwellings of Eldervale by Luke Laurie. If you haven't got it, I strongly recommend you going out and getting yourself a copy. There might be some available direct from Breaking Games, but you can pick these things up from people such as Games Law. I think they're selling the sort of standard retail and the 2 sort of upgraded versions. This is the legendary version with the sound effect bases. They are nice, but I mean, if you haven't got them, or if you've just got the basic retail version with the standee monsters, the game is still going to be an excellent game. And you can, I think there's people out there now that are 3D printing some of the monsters and things if you can only get the retail version. So thoroughly recommend it, and this is going to get a lot of game time and a lot of table time over the coming months from me. And we'll be back again soon with another game or unboxing. Bye for now.